Hey, Dragon Slayers. Got through eating about an hour and a half ago ish. Blood sugar's 122. So, today's video is all about how losing fat can help improve your body's insulin sensitivity. So, I found out about this from reading and watching Dr. Benjamin Beekman's videos. It's really fascinating. So, basically, he talks about how insulin resistance starts in your fat cells, and that when your fat cells start to fail or fall, then they take the rest of the body with them. And it's not that far behind. So, in the description below, I put a clip talking about that specific segment, as well as the full, like, hour and 42-minute long video in case you wanted to check it out for yourself. But he explains how your fat cells can expand in one of two ways. So, way number one is hypertrophic or hypertrophy. So you've probably heard of that name before. People usually refer to it when they're talking about muscle growth or muscle development. It's just the enlarging of the cells. So hypertrophic or hypertrophy, right? And then there's hypoplasia, which is basically the addition of a new cell. So in a hypertrophic model of a fat cell, you have one cell and then it just gets bigger. And in the hyperplasia model of the cell, you have one cell and then another cell is created, basically. And so hypertrophic expansion is not good. That's the worst type of fat gain. So you have it. So hypertrophic is that it just starts to enlarge in more and more over time. So in diabetics, one thing that they've observed is that they tell them to switch their insulin sites, right? You don't want to keep injecting yourself in the same site over and over and over again, because the insulin basically promotes or forces the hypertrophic expansion of the cell. Well, those cells can grow to 3, 4 times their normal size. And there's actually videos that they show, or pictures that they show in the video, of people whose like fat deposits are really bulging in certain areas of their injection site from repeatedly injecting insulin into the same spot over and over again. Insulin resistance happens in the hypertrophic cell. So the cell has a maximum limit of how much fat that it can store. And so once that cell gets too big, it can burst. So to like prevent itself, it's bad if your cells die, right? Like if any of your body's cells die, that's not a good thing. There's a normal pattern, right, in the life cycle of cell and cleanup. But if a cell just explodes, that's never a good thing. And so to prevent that, it starts leaking fat, right, into the bloodstream. That's why people that are highly insulin resistant have some form of prediabetes and type 2 diabetes. They have high triglycerides in their blood. It's because their fat cells are generally hypertrophic. They've reached their maximum expansion that they can for that particular site, and then they start to leak that extra fat into the bloodstream. So hyperplasia fat cells can maintain insulin sensitivity because the hyperplasia fat cell is going to remain relatively the same size, and it's going to have similar responses to insulin, and then it's just going to duplicate, right? It's going to build another fat cell. And so you've got hyperplasia, the two fat cells working together, hypertrophic, the one fat cell that just keeps getting bigger to the point of almost exploding. And this is kind of the fundamental basis of what causes insulin resistance and what eventually leads to prediabetes and then regular, type 2 diabetes. I found this really fascinating. And so I highly recommend, if you guys have the time, go watch the full clip in the video below, because it's pretty interesting to understand how these mechanisms work. So by that logic, right, if you have insulin resistance, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, you've got too many hypertrophic fat cells and they're on the verge of bursting. So lowering your overall body fat is going to help reverse the type 2 diabetes permanently. So that's what I've got for you guys today. Remember, Dragon Slayers, that together you and I will slay the dreaded diabetes dragon.